Good morning, KW. I hope you're having a good Monday. Here's the riddle for today. What did the big firecracker say to the little firecracker? My pop is bigger than your pop. Okay, today I'm going to read Curious George Plants a Tree. It's written by Margaret and H.A. Rays. This Wednesday is Earth Day, so I'm going to try to do some Earth Day books this week. George was a good little monkey and always very curious. Today was a good day to be curious. The man with the yellow hat was taking George to the Science Museum. The museum was one of George's favorite places. There was always something new to see and interesting to learn. Often there was a special exhibit. George wanted to know what it was today, but first he had to make his favorite museum stops. The Rocket Room, the Mirror Maze, and the Butterfly Space. Finally, George and his friend made it to the special exhibits room. The sign read, "How you can take care of our planet." George learned many things. How all people, animals, plants, air, and water on the planet make up the environment. How trees help keep the air clean. And how people can help protect the environment from pollution and too much trash. This arrow says trees give off oxygen, which people need to breathe, and people give off carbon dioxide, which trees use to survive. 1 acre of trees produces enough oxygen for 18 people every day. And shade from trees help cool the earth. Let me see all those signs. George had a great time and didn't get into any of his usual mischief. As he and his friend were leaving, they bumped into the museum director. Dr. Lee looked happy to see him. "How is my best monkey visitor?" Dr. Lee asked George. "I'm so glad I ran into you. I wanted to tell you that we're having a Green Day rally tomorrow at the park." George was curious. Whatever a rally was, he was sure that the park was a good place to do it. "We're going to plant a truckload of trees and collect used paper for recycling," Dr. Lee explained. "We didn't have much time to advertise, but we need lots of volunteers. How would you like to help out?" There was nothing that George liked better than to help. "What a great idea," the man agreed. "We'll be there." That night, George was ready to do his part for the recycling drive. He gathered every newspaper in the house. He stacked old mail on top of the papers. He piled empty cardboard boxes and food cartons on top of that. What a heap! What more could he add? George scratched his head. Then he took several books off his bedroom shelf. Just as George was about to add them to his recycling pile, someone lifted the books out of his hands. "Not so fast, George," the man said. "These books are made of paper, all right, but you can read and enjoy them many times. And when you're done, you can donate them to other kids or your library. Reusing is just as important as recycling." The next morning, George and his friends set out for the park with their wagon of neatly stacked paper. Suddenly the man stopped and said, "I forgot my gardening gloves. Go on without me, George. I'll be there soon." As George walked down the street, he spotted several newspapers lying about on his neighbor's front stoops. George had an idea. He had lots of room in his wagon. He could recycle all those newspapers. And the newspapers were not the only things he could recycle. He noticed a stack of paper cups sitting on a table under a tree. Into the wagon they went. So did a pile of magazines. And a heap of paper someone left on their sidewalk. George was happy with his great load. At the park he found Dr. Lee standing under a big banner. "Good morning, George," Dr. Lee said. "I'm so glad you came and brought all your friends. We need lots of help to get the job done." George turned around. He was surprised to see so many faces, but they did not look very helpful. They looked angry. The man with the yellow hat had arrived just in time. He explained to their neighbors that George was gathering paper for a good cause. They were no longer mad. They even stayed to help plant the trees. "George, you saved our green day," Dr. Lee said with gratitude. "These trees will provide fresher air, and each summer we'll have more shade, which means we'll use less water to keep the grass green. Thank you." Being a monkey, George had known all along how important trees were. That was the end of the story. The back of the book has some tips on living green. Here are some simple everyday things that you and your family can do to conserve energy and resources. Use both sides of your paper. Make your own playthings out of cardboard boxes and paper towel rolls. Talk to your teacher about classroom recycling, which we do. Donate your gently used books to a library. Donate your gently used clothing to a charity. At mealtimes, don't take more food than you can finish. Turn off lights, air conditioning, and heat when not in use. Look for the recycling symbol on packages when you shop. Fill the bathtub up only halfway. Turn off the faucet while brushing your teeth. Ask your parents to buy rechargeable batteries. Use old kitchen containers and utensils as sand and water toys. Volunteer to help clean up your local park. Open the curtains during the day to let the sun warm your house, and close the curtains at night to keep the heat in. Take care of your houseplants. They help purify the air. Make your own birthday and holiday cards. Use newspaper comics to wrap gifts. If you live near your school, walk and bike instead of driving. Take your own bags to the grocery store or help plant a tree and watch it grow. All right, have a good day, everybody. See you tomorrow.